Clive Boase, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah, looking forward to our conversation.
Absolutely. So, Clive, you're based in the UK, and you're one of the founding members. Is that true of ICUP?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, back in the early 1990s, we had this idea to have an international urban pest conference, and it took a bit of organising. We didn't have any funds, but we decided to have it in Cambridge because that's close to where I live here, and we had some nervous moments. We thought we were going to have to put our house on the market to raise the money to fund the conference. But in the end, it came good. People generously made some donations. We had over 200 people. And yeah, we had the first conference in 1993. And it was a big success, yeah. And the other organisers at that time, there was probably half a dozen of us in the organising committee. Most of them, all of them except one are not involved. But the one that is involved is Bill Robinson in the USA, and he's currently chair. He's chair of the organisation of this conference, of the executive committee. So Bill and I are the two committee members that have been involved with this conference since the first one.
So, I mean, most of the people that I know and speak with know ICUP or ICUP, as a lot of people call it as well. To anybody that doesn't know what you guys discussed there and what the event is all about, can you tell the folks what it is?
Yeah, so it's a physical conference. We have it every 3 years. We move it around the world. We've been to South America, North America, Europe, and Asia. We have it every 3 years. The conference consists of, once you're there, there are presentations on urban pest topics, scientific urban pest topics. This conference is not a commercial conference in the way that some other pest conferences are. So it's strictly scientific. We don't have product promotions. We don't have trade stands. And for a while, we thought we might alienate the commercial or the pest industry component. But in fact, we find they like to come because they're not tied to their trade stands. They can mix, they can move, they can see the scientists behind the data. And so we have very much continued to maintain links with the commercial community. But we have academia, we have the commercial community, we have government folk, regulators, we have vector control people from developing countries. So we've got a good mix of people. We have standard presentations. We have poster sessions for people who don't want to give an oral presentation. We have workshops, and we have, what we do find is that the opportunity for networking and social contact is really, really important. And often when we hand out the survey at the end of the conference and ask people, what did you like best about the conference, they say the opportunity for social contact and networking.
That's true, yeah.
We sometimes think that we should just arrange some chairs in some circles and people can come and talk. But anyway, we recognise there's a role for hard science and there's a role for social interaction, because it's through the social interaction that hard science often develops.
Absolutely.
And finally, on the ICUP issue, like most other organisations, we've had to postpone the conference that we had scheduled for this year, for 2020. Originally, we moved it to 2021, and now I think the future is so uncertain, we've had to postpone it yet again. We don't have enough time for 2021 now to put everything in place to hold the conference then. So right now, we don't have a date for a future physical conference, but we will announce that as soon as that's fixed. And in the meanwhile, we're looking at other options to enable us to stay in touch with our delegates and with the ICUP family. So watch the website, look in your email inbox, you will get an announcement. And I hope that before too long, we will be announcing some events to take place between now and when we have the next physical conference.
And not very seldomly, products were created and solutions for the pest industry out of your conferences as an idea, brought into life as an idea based on a study that launched into a product that probably thousands of pest control companies and technicians worldwide use. So that's pretty impressive source for scientific knowledge, which our industry is still, based upon science. And you just launched a new website, but it's not just a website. It is, I want to call it the Google of pest control. So why is that? Why does it have so much content in it?
So at every conference that we have, we publish a proceedings. So this is a hard book, maybe 500 pages, hardback book, and it has the full content of every presentation at the conference in that proceedings. So that stays on paper, but on the website, we have taken every single presentation in full out of the printed proceedings and hosted that on the website. So if you go to the website, and it's www.icup.org.uk, on that website, you can search all the conference presentations back to 1992.
And that's for free.
It's for free. You've got free access. You've got over 1,000 publications. And quite possibly it's the largest repository of urban pest information anywhere in the world, I would say.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. Everybody that watches this, don't make any plans for the weekend. Sign in there. And I mean, there's so much data. Obviously, we just talked about ancient books about trapping and old, the first form of rodenticides, etc. There's loads of content around pest control, so definitely more one human can consume in their whole lives. But I think your repository is definitely one of the role model repositories worldwide. So congrats on that achievement. That's really impressive.
Yeah.
Super.
No, good. It's we look at the usage statistics and it's regularly used, frequently used by people looking up that stuff. And there's in it there are classic studies that you won't find elsewhere. Studies of the less common pests. Studies of scorpions or silverfish and so on. So there's as well as the standard stuff on bed bugs and cockroaches and mosquitoes. There is a good number of studies on more obscure pests, book lice, a lot of stuff on dust mites. So, something for everyone, really, I would hope. And also, we originally started just with invertebrates, with insects. But now, the last few conferences, we've included vertebrates as well. So we've obviously got the rodents in there. And we move on to even urban deer. Some of the, again, fringe pests, but information you won't find in other places.
Pretty cool. So for somebody like you, by the way, you're a consultant, right? So you're self-employed, you consult businesses all around the world. Is that correct? Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah, I'm an independent consultant and I've done that for 20-something years.
Wow. So for somebody that is a scientist, I think first and foremost, probably, then a consultant and the co-founder of ICUP and a collector of ancient pest control books, I want to say too. So if I may ask, in current times, especially in times, of COVID and people are looking at more, renewed or let's say new service models and new types of digital monitoring devices and loads of associations pushing integrated pest management more than ever, pest exclusion, trapping, digital trapping, smart, etc. For somebody that knows the industry for so long, how do you think the next 10 years are going to affect our sector? In which way? And what can we take from it? Or how can we best prepare for it?
Yeah, it's a big question.
Oh, yeah, it is.
The industry, what's going to happen with the industry in the next 10 years, I would say climate change is going to play an even bigger role. I'm absolutely sure of that. I'm sure we're going to see new pests coming into play.
Sure.
Whether it's ones that have been moved north, if you like, from more southerly regions within Europe or indeed in every continent.
Yep.
So we're going to see new pests coming into the frame, and that will challenge us. We of course are going to see new pests that arrive in Europe, let's say, or any other country or any other continent, not due to climate change, but due to human transport of goods and stuff.
Globalization.
So in the same way as Aedes albopictus came to Europe, not due to climate change, but just due to trade in particular items, we will see. So we're going to see new pests arriving. That's clear. As you say, coupled with that, we've got this move towards using less pesticide. We've got a stronger move towards integrated pest management, towards IPM. That has to be a good thing. And so, that's good. I think what we do need, with the move towards IPM, there's a danger of IPM becoming, some nice words. And I think what we do need is the science underneath that. We like the philosophy, we like the green thinking, but we also want that, or I think the industry needs that to be underpinned by some good science. So if we were talking about trapping or we were talking about exclusion, I think we need to see evidence, or pest controllers, servicing companies need to see evidence that it works, and they will buy into it all the more, once they see that evidence. So somehow we need to see that evidence generated. There will still be a role for pesticides, of course, but, absolutely, there are, some pests that will be very, very difficult to control by non-chemical means. So we're not going to lose those, but, those non-chemical control techniques will come more to the fore. And as regarding the pesticides that we do continue to use, we will inevitably need to be smarter about resistance management.
Oh, yeah.
We are not going to have the same frequency of new pesticides appearing on the market as we saw 30 years ago. It's tougher for those manufacturers now, of course.
It is. Yeah.
And so we're not going to see new pesticides. We need to make good use of the ones we have got. We can't afford to lose more of them. So there's a number of challenges. Yeah, new pests coming, challenges to the efficacy of pesticides because we've got a smaller range of pesticides available, and we need to become smarter and cleverer in our use of those non-chemical techniques too. So, as usual, the industry is very exciting. There's always a lot happening. A lot happening.
Yeah, but I think you summed it up really, really good, because actually I've never seen the triangle of these three things. Obviously, more commitment towards more IPM. I mean, obviously, less rodenticides or not pesticides all over. I mean, it's getting more and more challenging for manufacturers to, with the registration process and, the big corporates using less. So that's, obvious what's going to happen. And the best use of these in the future, and they're definitely going to have a place in the future. Maybe not, one product as a solution for everything. But yeah, getting more commitment behind IPM and using all the digital bits and exclusion bits and early warning system is definitely going to be where it is currently a very fancy bit in a presentation. It really needs commitment and practice and the studies and the knowledge to be the foundation of, the next decade being based on this triangle, basically. So I fully agree. And I think looking at all the big corporates in our industry, Rentokil, Orkin, Anticimex, you name them, looking at the annual reports, they are using less chemicals already and doing a lot more prevention and exclusion and proofing and using way more digital sensors, which is great. Seems like crazy big numbers with hundreds of thousands digital traps against insects, against rodents. And this trend is probably not something that is, has just been like a peak for 1 or 2 years, but it's probably a trend that's going to stay there for the next decade. So I'm really looking forward to the industry as a whole and all the small and medium-sized enterprises to catch up on this, right? I mean, it is not, as you said, it's always an interesting, fascinating industry to be in, but it seems like a huge challenge, right?
Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't say it's easy for the large companies to get involved, but they have got the resources. They've got the resources to look into this, whereas your small and medium organisations, the SMOs, for them, it is more challenging, and they will need some support to get into that, and that support should come from probably trade associations. And the other driver for this as well, I mentioned climate change and new pests.
Yeah.
Of course, if we're using remote monitoring for many of our pests, then that reduces the frequency with which we have to drive up and down the road to visit our customer's site, to look at the bait box or to look at the sticky trap. So there are, if you like, climate change benefits, or at least carbon dioxide benefits, in spending less time driving round and round and round between customer sites, because we can monitor those sites remotely now, and that has to be a good thing. So there is to be a good thing, in that triangle, like you said, there is some sort of positive diagonal pieces within the triangle. There are benefits to be gained from those various bits of technology. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the first digital mousetrap was probably created like 15 years ago, but the first iPhone came out in 2006, and now look at what we have, like these complex computers that we have in our palm. And I mean, in the end, we're not Apple. We're not looking at a B2C market that is billions of euros or pounds or whatnot. So development is obviously a little bit slower, but it most likely is going to happen. So I really look forward to more surveillance, more prevention, and more interesting things to come in our industry. And Clive, I just have to say, thank you so much for your insights. It's really been awesome to talk to you and have the opportunity to speak with one of the ICUP founders. So thanks a lot for that. Okay. All right. Well, pleasure talking with you. I've enjoyed it. Thank you. Me too.